Hey y'all, how you doing? Today we're doing a garden tour. It is the last day of May, and this will probably go up here in a couple days, so it'll be the beginning of June. It has been raining constantly, so I haven't really gotten as much done as I would like. Today it's dry, and the sun is supposed to be out on and off today. So I wanted to get a garden tour done because it's a nice mild day. It's not overly hot, and after, I want to say the next 48 hours, we're supposed to warm up significantly, and it's going to be too hot to do anything outside. Like always, this is just, things aren't going to look perfect. I did just want to get some of this stuff on camera while it's still pretty, and also, you know, it's nice to have something to look back on later in the season and be like, wow, it's grown so much since then. I'm going to start here where we usually start, and I kind of want to start with my blueberry bushes this time because last time I almost forgot them and did them more towards the end. So I want to start here. See, this one's it's been cut back. Top part that we left when we did our rejuvenation prune has been cut completely off this one, and you can see it's got a lot of bushy new growth. We left this one because, let me zoom in. As you can see, it does have a bunch of healthy new growth down there, and some of it's even down in the weeds. I don't know if you can see that, but this little leafy area right in that area, that's new growth as well. But when this gets a little bit of more new growth, we'll cut this top off. And the reason we do that is because it just got to where it was barely producing because it hadn't been maintained properly. But it does have a few berries. It just doesn't have it like it used to. And this one right here has some berries. There's berries throughout. Same thing with this one. When it gets more bottom growth, it looks like this one may have enough this year to where in the probably winter time, whenever it's normally time to prune blueberries, we'll probably cut the rest of this one off. You can see this top growth. It's going to get blueberries this year. It's just these weren't producing like they used to, and it was time for a rejuvenation prune. You can see how they were growing. There's no bushiness, and all the leaf canopy was just at the top. By cutting them back, they just have more bushiness to them. Same with that one. It may be able to be cut back this year, but I may let it go an extra year. That brings us to this bed. It's been raining so much. Everything needs weeded again, but my comfrey's looking beautiful. These sedums that I planted out here are growing. My asparagus is growing. I just really need to come weed this. That's the one thing at least for me, by the time I get done planting all of my plants and I get my first initial weeding done for the spring, by the time that happens, it's usually time to start over and start weeding again. Now, I did not get mulch down on this, and that's part of the reason it's so bad. So hopefully I can get it weeded and get mulch down. If not, I'll at least get it weeded. Alright, I have these bush raspberries that are doing well. This right now is so pretty. I know I need to weed eat, but this bed is just looking so beautiful. This is the Cat's Meow Nepeta, and it looks so pretty with this yellow columbine that I grew from seed behind it. And then I've got all these other things coming up. My sedum that I planted here in the fall is spreading. I do, though, have a groundhog living under my greenhouse, and who knows how long this will last before he chews it all down. But it's just very beautiful right now. Like a perfect example is I planted some zinnias and he's definitely chopped those to the ground. Right, if you look over this way, I have some bronze fennel that's looking really pretty. I have my Artemisia wormwood, and it's looking really pretty. I'm going to cut that back this year and divide it because it's just getting very big. But I do like the way it looks with those bronze leaves up against it. Then I have some verbenas that I got from the nursery that are just starting to grow. There's a Dichondra Silver Falls that I grew from seed, so hopefully it bushes out and gets lush. A silver mound, and then another type of Artemisia. I'm not sure of the variety. It's definitely on my last tour. I have this Neon Flash Spirea. It's starting to get little buds. Hopefully it'll be open soon. Let's see. I planted this Delphinium here, right next to my Spirea. I've got this black and blue salvia coming back. Sedums. I've got seedlings that are just now starting to grow. This is an Ifophia. I planted my elephant ear right here. It is a black one. This is some of that Lithidora. This is an Eclipse hydrangea. I don't know if you can see it, but it gets this deep, dark burgundy leaves. That right there is where I put that hot and spicy oregano. I have this random begonia I put here that wintered over in a pot that I had inside. This is that variegated lemon basil. Or no. This is that variegated lemon thyme. The sedums I put here and here are doing well. I am going to come in and put more in this bed. This is a variegated hydrangea. You can see the variegation on the leaves. This is a hosta that basically came back from a piece of root we left in the ground. This bed's pretty. It's got a bunch of hellebores, a couple of really pretty ferns. This is a shady area, and there's not a whole lot to show. Some of these plants are still young, like some of these hellebores have never bloomed because they were like that big when I put them in the ground. This is what we're working with. It'll fill in and become quite striking with the amount of hellebores. Okay, now I have this area which is grown over with weeds, but last fall I struck these hydrangeas here because it was a nice shady area and they needed planted. I'm hoping it's not too shady and they actually bloom. The one I had there died off. That one's doing really nicely. Here is a stilby that I planted. It keeps getting eaten back, probably by that groundhog. These right here are both yuccas that volunteered. We didn't plant them. And then here's a hydrangea. Ooh, these ones are getting blooms. They're getting little buds. And here's a hydrangea. It's in shade now, but in the evening time, this does get a little bit of light. And in the morning, if I'm not mistaken, it gets light. I did have that Eclipse hydrangea with the dark burgundy leaves planted back there. However, it was not getting enough light in that particular corner. And so it was struggling, because when the rest of this bed gets light, I guess that one doesn't. And that's why I moved it. It's like in this area, so when it fills in, it'll be in that area. And it is doing so much better since I moved it. Before I moved it, I thought I was going to lose it. All of these beds are still a work in progress, but I just keep plugging away at it, and eventually it'll never be done. Okay, beside my greenhouse here, I have coral bells and strawberries and alpine strawberries. And this year we have not gotten to eat one strawberry off these plants because I think the groundhog. This one's in bloom. This coral bells, it's very pretty. Then we've got all the plants here in my yard that still need planted. And it's a lot. Some of these I might put for sale because I have several flats of alpine strawberries there. Like in this area here. Who knows if I'll need all those. I still do have a few things in my greenhouse as well. Those marigolds are getting pretty tall. And it's hot in here, so this is hard to keep watered, and I really just need to get to planting. But like I said, it's been raining. Just want to show. This is just starting to look really, really pretty from the back side. I don't know if it's coming on camera the way it's showing in person, but just all the textures and colors, it's really starting to look nice from this angle. So we have tomatoes on this trellis, along with stuff that needs planted. As you can see, we've got blooms and tomatoes, and I've also got some beans coming up that I put seeds in the ground. My persimmon tree's doing well. I've got some cucumbers here that need planted. See, groundhog. I've got this cucumber that is planted that's starting to green up, and it'll grow on this little TP. Over here, those are naked ladies. This foliage will completely die off, and then in late summer, they will send up pink flowers. Some more Dichondra Silver Falls that I planted. Some Lithidora that I got on clearance. Hopefully it makes it. It's got a bunch of green on it still that looks healthy. Then another verbena. I'm not sure what's going on with this sedum here, stone crop. I think that it could be the rain. Honestly, either that or something has laid on it and used it as a bed. I have this beautiful peony here that's in bloom. Look at the size of that. It's just so beautiful. This is part of the reason I wanted to go ahead and shoot this, is because these peonies are just looking so pretty right now, and I did not want to miss them. I also have this mini rose in bloom, looking quite beautiful. This right here is a sea holly. Some of them are starting to send up shoots that's going to bloom. Let's see. These are still pots. Yes, I know this is in the way. Once I'm done planting, I'll get these taken care of. Then we have this bed. We've got all these mini roses starting to open, as well as that rose. These roses in this bed, like this speckled rose, was named after an artist. I can't remember which one. It's an artist series. As well as that one, but it's not open yet. The sweet peas are kind of taking over back there. Since the rain, they're kind of coming forward. I need to push them back up along their trellis. The wind's kind of blown them around. And they will attach to it. They've got the tendrils. These little violas I planted from seed are still blooming. The English daisies have put on another flush of blooms. See this rose? You can't really see it open yet, but look at that bud, how beautiful. I have my orange thyme here. On this side, things are just starting to grow and fill in. We've got these sedums. My Lizzie-anthus is getting some height and size to it. I have that beautiful rose that's going to be blooming soon. These right here are a blackberry lily, I think. And they might not stay here permanently. I think I may move them. More stone crops. I had these Dusty Millers come back. So I'm just letting them grow. I've never had them come back before. I have this rose here that I just put in the ground this year. I have several forages volunteering. My thyme, it's starting to fill back in. That horrible cutout I did is starting to fill back in. I think that's looking really pretty with the coral bells. I have some echinaceas growing that aren't in bloom yet. This coral bells that was in a different spot and struggling is starting to come out, and it looks like it's getting plenty of new growth down there, so hopefully that does well. This is basically herbs. There's mints and thymes and oreganos. I put this coral bells here recently to give this some color in this area. I've got a St. John's wort, some Greek mountain oregano. That is lavender. Then I've got that rose back there that's going to be opening soon. It looks like it's going to be a pale pink and beautiful. And then over here, I have that purple sage. It looks like it's in its spot. I have some more Lithidora. This from clearance, and this one doesn't seem to like its spot quite as well, but it's still got growth, so I have hope for it. And then coral bells, love in a mist, and then all this columbine that I'm about ready to cut all the blooms off of because I don't want it to go to seed. I really want to get it out of this area. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's the ever-dreaded bondweed, so that needs to come out. Some wild daisies, bee balm that's not in bloom. I have lemon mint there, or keep calling it mint. I have lemon thyme there. There's chocolate mint. There's some lime balm here. I also want to show you this. This is some Job's Tears or Widow's Tears. Isn't that beautiful? It's a type of Tradecantia. So yeah, that's a spiderwort or a Job's Tears. And it kind of just looks like a grass until it blooms. I got a cutting of this from Mo many, many years ago. And it was grown at my old garden. And then when I left that old garden, I brought some of it up here. And now it's growing here. It's been growing here for a while now. Last time we came this way, the weeds were as tall as my peonies that are in this area, or pineys as we call them. And so you couldn't really see as well what I'm trying to do with this area. We have mowed and weeded this area, but since it's been raining, it's grown back in. That being said, you can kind of still get a feel of what we're trying to do with these peonies. You kind of just see how they flank our pathways. There's a couple of them in bloom right here. Let's go look at these. Look how pretty those are. Just a white ruffly with a yellow center. But you can kind of see they're flanking our pathways. I have some nombarks. Those nombarks hate their spot. So this fall, I'm going to move them. But I'm going to leave them for now because it's about to get really hot and I don't want to stress them out. Plus, this time of year, I'm focusing on getting everything else planted and honestly, the right time to move them would be in the fall. So I'm going to wait till this fall, maybe get my area prepped sometime this late summer, and then have a place to move those, because they really don't like it here. And I want to get them in a place where they're going to thrive a little better. Now we're going to go toward the veggie garden. I have those beds up there that I showed you last time that has like orange balm, and there's some chives and some different types of mint. I literally haven't touched that area. It hasn't been weed-eated. It hasn't been weeded. So there's no point in going over there because literally nothing's changed. The plants have gotten a little bit bigger and a little bit more drowned out. So we're going to go towards the top. So this is my onion bed. And I'm going to try to set this so you can kind of look over. They're starting to put on size. But also I need to come through and weed. Garden soil on. I say garden soil loosely because it's actually mulch. We used it like mulch. You can see why. It's full of wood. But kind of mulching this area has helped these tremendously. It's helped them maintain moisture, and they've put on a good amount of growth since then. So I really need to get up here and get this weeded because they don't like competition. And I really want onions. Okay, my garlic. It is honestly dying prematurely, and I think it's because this bed is staying too wet. It has not had time to bulb yet, and it's not looking great. So I'm not sure what's going on. I am going to get this weeded out too. Maybe they'll perk back up, but they're not looking great. And it is too early to pull them. I know they haven't bulbed yet. If they start to look too bad, I'm going to pull them anyways, because even if they're not bulbed, they'll still be useful. All right, let's go in here. I just planted most of this, so I'm kind of not really going to go over what's up here too much. I will say, I still have cardboard in the pathway that I need to move where I ripped it off of this. We still need to get it mulched up here badly. But everything's adapting well up here. Like, this stuff literally just got planted, so, but it's greening up. Like, let me use this as an example. See, it's getting pretty yellow. And since I've put it out here, the new growth is greening up. Tomatoes, same thing. Like the ones that were getting yellowed. See those old leaves? I need to come prune and attach the ones that aren't attached to my trellis. Over here, I've got corn starting to poke through all over. There's really not too much to see here. Just everything is starting to green up and adapt to their environment. That's really all there is to show. This stuff just got planted. That needs weeded. It's not even been touched once this year. I do want to show you over here on this side. This is down this first aisle. I left this because look at all of those volunteer celosias. I didn't save any seed and I didn't plant any seed, so I let this one kind of go wild to volunteer. It looks messy, but I'm going to have a ton of celosias. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but all those ones with the kind of colorful leaves that are down there, like that, those are all celosias. And I knew they'd drop seed, so I'm going to let them grow. And this year I'll save seed so I can make sure this gets weeded well for next year. None of my seeds have popped out here yet. It's only been a couple of days since I planted those sword beans. My clematis is still growing. I think it's liked having the weeds away from it. This is my life. I weeded this whole thing, and you can't even tell. Not one bit. So, I don't know what to do. This is the part that makes me feel overwhelmed or like giving up. I just don't know if I can manage it because it's really hard carrying mulch up the hills. And I have no better way of doing it besides by hand. But I've got that rose coming back. This is a climbing rose. I've got my grapes coming back. Over here I've got some volunteer sunflowers as well as this fig. It's coming back. It dies to the ground every year. I don't know if this thing is ever going to get big enough to actually produce. And then we're going to go down that way. These are the beds that I planted my squashes in on my last video, and those are starting to green up as well, but I'm not going down there. We have several patches of these irises spread out, and I really enjoy them. They're just in different spots on the hillside. Alright, we're going to walk down here. This has never been weeded or cut back, but it looks like, let's see, I've got a berry bush I need to get out of there. Things are getting ready to bloom. These feverfew are getting ready to bloom. But I've got those little white flowers you see all over the place. Those are berries that I need to get out of there. Probably dewberries. I just want to walk this way to see if anything's volunteering. I doubt it. Maybe. Nope. No, these are all just weeds. There's nothing coming up here. I might end up taking this bed apart, cultivating it, and then putting it back together for something else, because there's nothing volunteering or coming back here except for weeds. This has got weeds, but there is actually a couple plants in here. This, where I planted my onions, another round of onions. You can see they are doing well. However, some of them have disappeared, and there are so many weeds. These beds up here are kind of temporary. I'm thinking about just ripping all of this out at the end of the season, or at least when I harvest these onions. Except for the feverfew, because it's perennial, it's established, I grew those from seeds. I'm thinking about ripping the rest of these beds out and just starting over. The weeds are too much, and I should have dug the sod out of these before I planted them, because even though I layered cardboard and all the stuff, I really should have just dug the sod out first and then started with my no-till. I know that the roots on these grasses are just too intense, and the roots on the dewberries are just too intense not to do that. Lesson learned. I knew better. I knew what to do at the time, and I didn't, because I wanted to do it easy, because I was busy doing a lot of things at the time, because it was around this time of season. Well, right before this time of season. It's the busy season nonetheless, and instead of doing it the right way, I did it the quick way. And now I'm probably just going to have to rip them all out, which is fine. Gives me a chance to start over. Look, it looks like I've got a calendula volunteer in there. That's definitely a volunteer from last year, because I did have calendula in this bed. But I will say, looking at these onions, I thought a lot more of them had disappeared, like something maybe ate them, than it actually has. It's just that most of them are surrounded by weeds. I thought that there was a lot of them gone, but I'm seeing a lot more than I thought. So on this side, even though it's very, very weedy, the reason I haven't taken it out is because I have a couple of hollyhocks here. And this is their second year in the ground, so they should bloom this year. And we had this little plant here that I didn't know what it was. And I figured it out even before I saw this pod. This is the first pod, but I remembered that this is a money plant. So look, it's getting its first pods. It's a variegated money plant. And it's actually getting its little pods, which is awesome. This is its second year in the ground. It's also a biennial. And it just struck me one night in the middle of the night that that's what I'd planted here. I just remembered. But other than those two things, unless there's something that's volunteered that I can't quite see yet, that's all that's in here. Those hollyhocks I want to see bloom. And those money plants. I will save seeds from both of those things once they bloom, and then this bed will be ripped out too because it's nothing but weeds. This whole area will be ripped out. The feverfew, there's a chance I might just dig it all up in the fall and move it, but it's doing so well where it's at that there's also a chance I'm just going to leave it and work around it and rip all the other beds out. This is where we planted all of those gladiolus that we dug up when we were cultivating this bed to put the onions in. Those all went there, and as you can see, they're growing. That now brings us back to where we started at. We're going to go down and look at this bottom garden, as long as I don't get chased away by yellow jackets. Because every time I've seen a yellow jacket this year, it's been down there, which makes me wonder if there's a nest down there. I have potatoes here. That part of the bed are determinate, and these ones on this end are indeterminate. Potatoes can be either indeterminate or determinate like tomatoes. And the determinate ones, what's going to happen is they're going to grow, they're going to start to turn yellow, and then they're going to die back, and that's time to harvest. With these indeterminate ones, I can hill them up with either dirt or straw, which is what I'm planning on doing. As soon as I get some straw, I'm going to hill these up with some straw. You can hill them up, and they will continue to grow until either disease, pests, or your first frost takes them out. So you would dig these in the fall, and they will grow potatoes up the stem as long as you hill them up or cover them. So, but the determinants don't. They kind of grow all their potatoes at the root. So when you see people growing them in towers, they're growing indeterminate. And I think that that's a distinction most people don't make. And sometimes people will get the wrong variety and then try to grow them in a tower. And they'll be like, well, mine only grew potatoes at the bottom. Why isn't it working like theirs? It's probably because you got a determinate variety instead of an indeterminate. When you go to the big box stores, they don't mark whether they're indeterminate or determinate. And most of the ones I found there have been determinate. So they're not going to keep producing. An easy way to tell is, for the most part, if it says early harvest or, early potato, that usually means they're determinate and they're going to all ripen, or they're all going to be ready around the same time, and it's going to be early. If they say fall potatoes or long season potatoes or something that you would dig up in the fall, that's usually a pretty good indication that it's indeterminate. Now, that is not a steadfast rule, but for the most part, I have found that to be true. So when you're looking at the big box stores and it doesn't tell you whether it's determinate or indeterminate, just look whenever it says the harvest time is. Okay, there's a yellow jacket down here. There's a wasp down here, but it's not a yellow jacket, so just kind of looking around. I hope that wasn't one. Let me try to get through this bottom part so I can get back where I feel safe. Nothing to see here where I planted this row of tomatoes, except for the fact that they need put up on the trellis. On this row here, I am starting to get some of my beans popping through. So if you look all the way down the row, there's beans coming up. That's pretty exciting. Now this is the area that I got mulched the other day, and I never got it planted. My potatoes are all up there. I'm going to plant my hot peppers along either side of this walkway. I only have 2 varieties. I don't have a whole lot of plants, but I'm going to do that so I can walk up the stepping stones to harvest. And then I'm going to plant the rest of this bed with ornamental stuff. Now this bed down here, this is where I move those hydrangeas that were beside my greenhouse that were struggling, and they're already looking better. Look at the growth that one's put on. This one's put on a bunch of growth, and this one put on a bunch of growth. It makes me happy because they were really struggling. These little plants here are some monkey flowers, or I think that's what they're called. I'll put it on the screen. There's a patch there, a patch there, a patch there, and I suspect there was a patch there that either died or I pulled it up when I was pulling up the weed in that area because the weed pressure was very heavy. So it's a little off balance, but I might dig up this little patch and put it here. So whenever I'm putting everything else in, this bed will be balanced, because otherwise that's the only corner without any. Now this was weed-eated down like the bed itself was, but we left this end because on this end I usually have Sweet Annie volunteer, and I love the smell of that plant so much, and I don't have seeds for it, so that's another one. If it volunteers, I will collect seeds so I can redo this area. It just has the best smell to me. And it is also a type of Artemisia, however people say it. That leaves us with this row cover here where I've got my cabbage. Let's take a peek at them. Can you see down that row? They're all starting to put size on. And they do have a little bit of bug damage, but I think that's slugs because I have seen slugs in here. I don't see any cabbage. I don't see any cabbage worms. Hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully these actually head up. There's a lot down there, and to me that looks like it could possibly be getting ready to head. Like I said in the video where I planted these cabbages, I asked these people in West Virginia how they were able to get these big beautiful cabbages in the spring, because I've never been able to grow them. They've always just bolted on me. Like, they didn't start to head up. They would literally go to flower as soon as they started getting size to them. And they said that, plus the cabbage worms, so they would be a skeleton. I'd just leave them for the cabbage worms since they were bolting. So when I asked these people that I saw on these gardening pages that were from West Virginia how they got big beautiful cabbages in the spring, they said they put them under row covers because the shade from the row covers provides some heat protection in the hot part of the day for their cabbages, so they don't bolt immediately. And I also put them down here partially under a tree canopy, so part of the day down here it's shaded, so I was hoping that that would also keep them from bolting so quickly, because they do get full sun. It's just for, like, they get about probably 7 hours before they're in the shade, maybe 8. And then the rest of the time it's shaded. It's very bright shade. It's not like being in the middle of the forest. It's not full shade. Like, the shade they're getting is more just filtered light, I would say. It's not like deep shade. So I was hoping the combination of the row covers and the fact that they're in an area that gets protected from the sun for part of the day would also keep them from bolting so quickly. And so far, so good. However, until I harvest them, it's just too soon to tell. But I am excited because this is the furthest I've ever gotten with them without them being completely eaten or without them being in flower. By this time, these things are usually starting to flower already. We're going to go down here to this perennial area. It's grown over too. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but I'm just busy getting everything in the ground. We have got coral bells and astilbes all in this area. And the astilbes are just really starting to come out and get blooms. But it's so full of weeds, it's hard to see. There are also a couple of hostas, and that right there is a lady's mantle. But all of this stuff is just so weedy. I need to get it weeded. I need to get some compost down here because this has never had compost. We just put them in the ground and then mulched it. So I need to get some compost and some more mulch down here. This bed had a bunch of stuff in it last year. I haven't done anything with it yet because it's just full of weeds, but the reason this is outlined this way is because this strip here is the only place in this bottom garden that gets full sun. The rest of this gets sun for part of the day, but it's mostly shade. This gets full sun all day, well into the evening. I can't think of a part of the day where it's in shade unless it's real early in the morning. Then I have this rose that's coming back. Until it blooms, I won't know if it's the rose I bought or if it's coming back from a rootstock rose. Hopefully it's the rose I bought, but we'll wait until it blooms to see. Okay, if you come down here, I have these hostas there that I moved because they were getting eaten, so I moved them behind fencing. I've got a few hostas here as well. Like there's one, there's one, there's one. It's all being taken over by weeds. There's one back there. Then I have my little pawpaw trees. There's this one. I did have one over there as well. But I'm not seeing it, so I think it may have died. I will weed that area a little better and see if I can find it before I just weed eat it down or mow it. But this one's doing well. Let's put on some size. And this one's doing well and put on some size. And I had a golden seal. Oh yeah, there it is. There's my golden seal. This thing has struggled. Oh look, it's got another little leaf down there. This thing has struggled because the first year I had it in the wrong place. And so it kind of grew and then died for most of the summer and then came back in the fall. And then I transplanted it down here. And then after I transplanted it down here, it was just taken over by weeds last year. And it is an understory plant. It likes to be planted on the edge of wood lines. And we're under trees. And it gets the dappled light that it likes. The same with the pawpaw trees. They're an understory plant. So it seems to be doing better down here. I probably do need to get some fertilizer on it, or by fertilizer I mean compost, and to get it weeded out better. So that really concludes the garden tour for this time of year. I know that right now it's a lot of projects, it's a lot of weeding, it's a lot of maintenance, and I would be further along, but it literally has been raining a lot. And we've had this nice cool spring, which has been a gift. We've actually had a spring. It didn't go from winter to summer, which is unusual. So it's been a real gift. So I have been out here, been able to get out here and work without being miserable. However, I've been having to do it either when it's sprinkling or in between rainstorms. So it slowed it down a little bit while all the weeds continue to grow because they're getting all this water and all this beautiful weather. And I still do have things to plant. You saw how much stuff's in my yard still, and how much stuff's in my greenhouse. So as the spring/summer moves on, I'll finish getting planted, and then honestly I just start back over with my beds. I start with weeding all over again. It seems like all the weeds we have here are so tenacious, and we get so much water. There's kind of no stopping them. You can slow them down, but you're not going to stop them without using poison. And I'm not going to use poison. If you want to use weed preventative in your own garden, more power to you. It's not a practice I choose. Alright, with that being said, thank you for hanging out with me. Hopefully this is a good jumping off point of what it's going to look like later, and I have a good comparison. Also, there were just a few things in bloom, like those roses and those peonies, that I wanted to get on camera before they were gone, because peonies don't last long on the plant. And I just wanted to have some video evidence of them before they were faded completely. The roses, I'll deadhead those and they'll put out blooms throughout the season, but the peonies, once they're gone for the season. Alright y'all, thanks for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.